Welcome back to this podcast, Death or Life, Near-Death Experiences. Storytime by T. Centaur. See you in the stillness.
Welcome to another episode of the John Stevens Podcast Show. I am your host, John Stevens. Today, we are going to dive into a question most of us have. What happens to us after we die? If you have ever felt that curiosity about life after death, then stay with us. We have today in our studios a guest who has spent years speaking with people who crossed over to the other side and came back. Sitting across from me is Crystal, known to her audience as Crystal Vision, who claims to know what happens the moment you die. Crystal has documented years of testimonials of people who crossed over and came back. And just to warn you, everything you think you know about life after death is about to change. Crystal has researched hundreds of near-death experiences, survivors, also known as NDE. And let me tell you folks, their stories are just amazing. Crystal, welcome to my show. The big question of the day, what really happens when we die?
Thank you, John. And thank you to your listeners. I want to start by saying I am not a psychic. What I have is a deep love for understanding what happens to us when our physical body dies. You see, from the time I was a young girl, I knew we are more than just physical beings. That we are consciousness with a soul. And when people ask if the spiritual realm is real, I tell them it is not somewhere far away. It is right here, only unseen. I have discovered through my many NDA interviews that our soul never dies, consciousness continues, and the evidence I will share with you and your audience today will change everything you think you know about life after death. Mooji, a spiritual teacher who helps guide people to awaken to their true nature through stillness and deep inner awareness, describes life after death as a beautiful transition from the physical to the spiritual. He teaches that you are not the passing light, and you are not the drifting cloud of thought. These things appear and disappear. What you are is the sky itself, unchanging, timeless, and free.
It sounds beautiful, but how do we know this is not just something we tell ourselves to make death less frightening? I'm just blown away here.
Yes, the fear of dying is something many of us share. And after speaking with the NDA survivors, I have found a common theme in their stories that makes me believe we are all truly eternal. Their experiences carry striking similarities that cannot be ignored. You see, John, different people, different cultures, different decades, yet the same theme emerges.
Let me ask our listeners, have any of you ever had a near-death experience? If so, share your story with us in the comments.
John, this is not just my opinion. These are real descriptions from people who died and came back to life.
You mean you have proof from real people?
Yes, I do. Here are true accounts of people who died and came back to life who shared their experiences. In 1973, Betty Eadie shared that while she was in the hospital recovering from surgery, she felt herself leaving her body. Betty describes that she found herself floating above her body before entering the tunnel of light. She recalls that she was surrounded by colors that were more vivid than anything she has seen on Earth. Betty also described how she was greeted by several loving spiritual beings, including Jesus, who spoke to her without words, filling her with an unconditional love so beautiful that she never wanted to return to her physical body. Jesus told Betty that it was not her time, her purpose on Earth was not yet complete, and in that moment, Betty was sent back to finish her mission. Then there's the extraordinary experience of George Ritchie, a World War II veteran who recounted that after being declared dead from pneumonia, he felt himself leave his body and was taken on an extraordinary journey through realms of pure light and overwhelming love. He described being guided by a radiant being that he recognized as Jesus. George was shown breathtaking scenes of the afterlife and how every human choice sends ripples that touch countless lives along the way. The love he felt was so complete, so all-encompassing, that he longed to remain in that eternal presence. And just like Betty, Jesus told George that his mission on earth was not yet complete, and in an instant, he was returned to his body to continue his life's work.
Are you saying these are not isolated cases?
Exactly. Let's consider the story of Anita Moorjani, who slipped into a coma after a long battle with cancer. Anita described that all of a sudden she felt no more pain, no more fear, only a boundless of love that surrounded and filled her completely. Anita said, "It was as if she had expanded beyond her body, able to see and understand everything at once, including the deep truth that life is eternal and the body is merely a temporary garment the soul wears for a time." It was in this higher realm that Anita felt whole, radiant, and completely free from illness. And just like Betty and George, Anita was aware that her time on Earth was not yet finished. Moments later, she awoke, and in the weeks that followed, Anita's cancer miraculously disappeared.
That is powerful. But what about those who are not spiritual? What happens to them after they die?
Good question, John. Life after death goes beyond belief, religion, or spirituality. Let's take a look at it from a scientific perspective. Tom Campbell, a physicist, teaches that this world is a virtual reality within a larger consciousness system. Our body is simply an avatar, and when it ceases, the player, our awareness, continues. This is not a matter of belief. It is a matter of science.
All right, folks, you heard it here. Life continues after we die. I invite all of our listeners to leave any questions for Crystal Vision in the comments section. And if you believe there is life after death, type 1111 to let the universe know you are aware.
John, do you want to know what the many near-death survivors say about the afterlife?
That would be fascinating.
From all the well-documented accounts I have studied, I am reminded of Anita Moorjani, who described the afterlife as a place of constant growth and expansion, where you help others simply by the state of your being. And you remember Betty Eadie. She said she knew she would be learning, teaching, and creating, because no one sits idle in heaven. It is a place of service and joy. And there was Dannion Brinkley, who shared that if he stayed in heaven, he would have been working in great halls of knowledge, helping souls prepare for life on earth and welcoming those who had just arrived. And Howard Storm, who explained that he was shown a life of ongoing learning, creating beauty, and doing work that is pure joy, made only of love. These are not just stories, John. They are detailed experiences from people who crossed over, and not only were they shown heaven, they felt it, fully aware of everything all at once.
I'm just blown away here. How can the death experiences you shared really be considered proof of life after we die?
That's a great question, and it's one worth exploring. The truth is, we are eternal consciousness beings who are having a brief human experience, and our body is the vehicle we use in the physical realm. One of the most compelling examples is Pam Reynolds. While she was under anesthesia, Pam's body temperature was lowered, her brain activity flatlined, and her heartbeat stopped. She was fully prepared for surgery and should have been entirely unaware of what was happening. Yet later, she described the entire room from the surgical instruments to the word-for-word conversations the doctors had. The most intriguing part is that every detail she described was later verified. The truth is, we are eternal consciousness beings having a brief human experience, and the body is only the vehicle we use for a time. John, cases like this are more than just stories. They are powerful evidence that awareness continues after physical death and that we truly never die.
I have to admit, that is hard to dismiss.
After you hear the same patterns described by those who died and came back to life, meeting loved ones, seeing a light, feeling a pull to return, it becomes even harder to just explain it away.
All right, folks, we are going to take a short intermission. Stay with us until the end to gain powerful insight into what really happens when we die. Welcome back. Across from me is Crystal Vision, and I have to be honest, during the break, I felt something I was not expecting. A calm, peaceful feeling, that just maybe we never truly die, that we are all eternal.
Well, John, that feeling you described is your inner awareness seeing the light of truth. As Mooji says, the death of the body is not the death of you. What you truly are cannot die.
So then, why bother to come here in the physical in the first place?
According to near-death experience survivors, and from my own personal discoveries, our physical existence is more like a school for the soul, a place to learn life lessons. It's in this human life we are here to grow, to awaken, and to remember who we truly are. I have found a common thread among NDE survivors. They all experienced unconditional love. It's beautiful how they all share that love is the key to peace, the strength that allows us to love freely, that helps us focus on the truth that we are eternal. Many near-death survivors also share that they were told love is the highest purpose. Tom Campbell would describe the goal as lowering entropy, becoming more ordered, more compassionate, and more conscious. The love described by those who have died and come back is not ordinary love. It is an overwhelming, unconditional love, the kind of love that gives everything and asks for nothing in return. And it is the same love we can choose to live and share right now, here on Earth.
So you're saying that when we die, arg, then what? We just go to some final destination?
Not final. We continue learning and evolving. People speak of being greeted by loved ones, drawn toward a light that feels like home, and sometimes told, it is not your time, you have more work to do on Earth.
Crystal, I came into this interview skeptical. Between the science, the survivor stories, and your own spiritual wisdom, you've really given me a lot to think about.
That is why I am here, to share the insights I have spent years uncovering and to remind all of you to never accept anything at face value. Explore it for yourself, question it, challenge it, and above all, stay endlessly curious.
Well, folks, here we are. There is life after death. There is always time to ask Crystal your questions in the comments. And if you know that life continues beyond death, type 1111. Please subscribe to this channel and be sure to like this video.
Thank you, John, and thank you to everyone who has taken the time to listen. I truly look forward to reading all of your comments.
Crystal, your years of research, your compassion, and your clarity have been a gift to this conversation. All right, folks, you heard it here. Our lives truly do continue after our physical bodies die. Be sure to join us for another John Stevens podcast show where we dive deep into the truth.
See you in the stillness. If this story spoke to you, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and remember to click the bell so you always hear a new story. And if you know someone who could use this message, share it with them. Because sometimes, a simple story is all it takes to spark something real.